Hello and welcome to the first in what is going to be a new campaign of Ironsworn, as it says right below, a free-to-play or pay what you want to play game available on ironswornrpg.com that has become uh, kind of a favorite of mine in a sense, largely just because of how well it does at allowing you to kind of let the stories flow forth without any planning. This time around, I'm being joined by Blinking Firefly, as you see, and this is going to be her. Hey, welcome back, Fromage. This is going to be her first experience with Ironsworn. So if you feel like you don't know how it works or anything, don't worry. We're all learning along the way. I'll let your intro play. Welcome, Average Genius, as well. So, yes, if you were here for... If you ever watched the last videos of, I guess, Season 1, as you would imagine it, we are not going to be following along in that Wild West world this time. We're going to actually be exploring in the way the game kind of initially intended. We're going to the kind of more Norse fantasy sort of, like, low... Hey, by the way, I'm coming through your speakers a little bit. I can hear a little bit of an echo. It's just small, but
sorry.
That's all right. Yeah, kind of low fantasy, just in a more like Viking fantasy sort of environment, not Wild West. But
I can turn down the sensitivity.
Gotcha. Yes, the last one was indeed particularly cursed in the luck department. I'm hoping this time around, since the entire time we'll be traveling with two companions together, we'll be able to offset each other's luck a little bit more. But before we roll into it completely, Blink, I guess, give us a little bit of a sense of like what's your RPG experience here going into this?
Not a lot. I've only really done one campaign, and that was like probably 2 years ago at this point. I played a halfling ranger named Rivik,
Gotcha.
who had a giant owl that she could ride.
I can't
Not this
imagine
owl.
you. I was gonna say I can't imagine you going for a giant owl, given your background. It seems so out of character.
Owls are amazing.
But
But yeah,
indeed,
not
so,
a lot of experience. So I'm excited.
Yeah.
I'm excited to do this.
So definitely done with Ironsworn, and so far just D&D and anything else?
I think we did roll for shoes. Not
It's true. We did a
that was a
little
while
bit of
ago
roll
too.
for shoes.
And I didn't finish the game, which I feel bad about. But
It's
that
fine.
was fun.
Yeah. If you're watching this for the first time, like on the YouTube bot or something, and didn't see any of my other stuff, I'm definitely coming from a little bit more the other end of the spectrum. My bookshelf and digital bookshelf of PDFs is filled with RPGs that I've played or at least read. I love reading new systems and finding out new stuff. It's one of my hobbies, really, is not even necessarily playing RPGs, but just reading how different RPGs handle different systems and handle different ways of telling stories, which is what led me to Ironsworn to begin with. I was really intrigued by it, and now I've grown to find that it really does a great job at doing what it does best. So before we go into the game, just a little primer on what this game does best. It's kind of all about characters that are going to be out in kind of the untamed wilds, handling problems on their own. Kind of what you would imagine D&D would be about. This one is a little bit more directly about doing quests, which may or may not have anything to do with killing things. It's just about you swear to do a thing usually for communities or something. You swear you're going to solve their problems, and you kind of go around kind of like a wandering samurai in a sense. Is kind of what this game handles best. And the whole conceit is that in this universe, if you're holding a piece of iron, if you swear on iron, there's some kind of mystical force that's binding your soul to actually complete it, and if you don't, bad things happen. So it's kind of all about that. Blink and I had our own sort of session zero where we answered some questions about how this world worked, like what are some of the details of this world we're about to play in, and figured out a little bit about our characters. Um, I will. I'll start off to just say a little bit about who I'm going to be playing this time. Then Blink, you can tell us a little bit about your character.
Okay.
I'll let the world speak for itself as we play through it, so as to not take too long before we just get into the meat of it and start rolling. Um, so I'm going to be playing a character who has a cold, obviously. Actually, it's just allergies, but I'm going to be playing a character with a stuffy nose all the time. Um, my name is Flint Ingram. I envision him as more of a he's he's kind of a older gentleman. He's been through some combat. He's done some veteran sort of stuff. He's seen some things here and there. He's been on the he's come out the other end and is probably got some scars to show for it. A little bit more of a rough and tumble sort of person than my last character, if you saw Ironsworn Western Frontier, who was very much not able to physically handle any kind of combat on his own. He had to just sort of be a shithead and talk his way out of things all the time. This guy can do a little bit more throwing the punches on his own. And the kind of main idea I have behind him, as we will get into shortly, we talked about how there's this, in this world, there's like these pillars that are like kind of way out in the distance, far from our communities, that are just part of this ancient world that recently have started glowing. And when that happened, Flint, who had long ago lost his sight as a result of all that kind of like combat that he used to be part of, like he used to be a sighted person, he is now blind, but now he kind of can see again, almost in a sort of like it's not quite real vision. It's almost like, imagine you turned on to detective mode in like a Batman Arkham game or something. Like he sees in that sort of astral sort of way now that these things have started glowing, and so the character is going to be all about sort of figuring out like what is the cause of that? What's going on here? What does this mean? And beyond that is kind of like background vow, the thing that I'm going to be pursuing over the like long term and probably never actually solving is he has a family, he has a son, who one day just disappeared. Like he's just gone, and I have no idea what happened. I am convinced he is still alive out there somewhere, but fuck if I know where. So that's kind of my background vow. That's gonna be, I'm always gonna be looking for more evidence and clues about this. So anyway, that's about as much as I know about Flint Ingram. This is a game that encourages you to like keep it in broad strokes, fill in the details later. So that's what I got. What are we going to be seeing from you, Blink?
So I'm just gonna read my bio that I wrote because
Go for it.
I don't think I can explain it in like casual terms. Okay. So I am Graelith, or Grae, an orphan. I was raised from near infancy by a blacksmith, Holmick Brunden, and his now going senile mother, Aga. Aga did most of the work raising me. She taught me everything she knows about herbology. And Holmick acted mostly annoyed with me growing up, but deep down, I know he really cares for me. And when he wasn't busy being bothered by me, he would show me how to make basic daggers and blades, and sometimes show me how to wield them. I would often wander off to nearby barracks and watch people training. I would try practicing their moves in secret, but not really that great at it either.
Imagine the secret, like a lot of clattering from the alleys.
Like, what is that?
Super secret.
Yeah. But yeah, I never really have full confidence in my ability to fight, but I really want to. I really want to protect my community, and I never really had the opportunity to go one-on-one with anybody. Maybe a little bit with Holmick, but he's
Right.
usually too busy, and he only knows so much. He makes the weapons. He doesn't really use them or fight in battle.
Yeah.
Although I think he was in battle a long time ago. My friends tell me they think I'd be really good at it, but I don't think they won't fight me. They're really scared of me. But they think I'd be really good. And I don't know much about where I came from, just that I was among the last of the most recent settlers here in our world. So I was passed along from my sick mother to another woman right before Aga and Holmick. They said I was only with that woman a short while before winding up with them. and they told me we sailed away from the plagued lands. There was a vicious plague
Yes.
going around.
We decided that yet again in this version there's kind of the world we're playing in, and then there's this old world that everybody came from. And just like last time in Western Frontier, where it was back east, where there were some kind of horrible sickness going around, we liked that idea again. So
Yeah.
there's the old world that all of our people came from a long time ago that everybody left because of these horrible illnesses, the plague that's going on there.
Yeah. So I don't know what happened to my family. I don't know if they already had the plague and they were able to send me off, and I escaped it somehow. But um, yeah, and nobody has arrived since the last ship, which was what I was on.
Yeah.
And not that I'm aware of, anyway. And my hands have mysteriously started glowing, much like Flint's sight has been coming back. I haven't
Yeah.
met Flint yet, I don't think. But yeah, ever so faintly, just kind of like this light bluish kind of haze. Especially at night, I notice it, and then I'm like, "What is that?
Yeah.
I don't know. I guess we'll find out. Maybe."
Yeah.
Um. Anyway, I told Holmick about it, and he's like, "Well, that's probably not good. And people around here don't like strange or suspicious things, so now he's sending me off to join the Ironsworn." And he says, "I'll only get into trouble if I stay." So, yeah. And I could endanger my village, too, if word gets out. So I don't want to do that, so I'm just going to go
Yeah.
swear some irons.
Well, it sounds like a good way that you like, because again, I don't know a lot about like what exactly sort of veteran activity I did, but uh sounds reasonable enough that it could have been indeed Ironsworn related sort of stuff. I've probably got a history with that. So if he sent you off to uh find somebody who might be able to lead you along the way, it seems a reasonable enough way that we could come into contact with each other and
Yeah.
get this all rolling. And speaking of, why don't we take a move over to this next scene where we've got our character sheet. So I'm not going to go over the full, like, this is how the game works like I did during the last series of videos. I tended to do that a lot. I'm just going to let you guys figure it out as we go. It's really not that complicated of a system, which is part of the beauty of it. I'll explain things as necessary, but I'm not going to go over a whole primer of what everything on this sheet means. If you have any direct questions, feel free to ask, and I'll go over it. But we got me, and then we've got Grae's sheet as well. And you'll notice the most important parts of these are the vows. So we each have our background vows on there. Grae's is all about like long term. She's got to figure out what's going on with her hands, and my kind of long term one is about my son, as I mentioned. And we're both about to start things off. We're going to kick it off by swearing a new iron vow, that one that we share right there. The I will uncover the mystery of the glowing obelisks. And then we're going to let the results of that roll kind of show us where we're going next. Again, this is a game that part of the beauty of it is that I've done literally no preparation for it, other than figuring out our characters and like some big ideas about the world. I'm going to let the dice push us in all the directions and trust that they'll always be ground underneath my feet as I stumble forward. So here we go. I imagine this is an area where like the two of us are probably in town somewhere together on the outskirts and getting ready to set out. Kind of like you can see vaguely off in the distance that like the tiniest point of like where there's an obelisk that you can just barely make out. That like in the daylight you can like not really see the glow. I imagine, if you agree, the glowing is a lot more prominent at night. Like it's there, but just
Yeah.
daylight being what it is, it's harder to see. But as we stand outside the wall, kind of looking at it, I imagine that I would be like formalizing this, saying like reaching back to like one of the big heavy iron rungs on the like wooden gate around the town that would be kind of like fumbling back to reach for it and encouraging you to do the same. That this is how it's done.
Oh,
We
grab some iron.
yeah. Yes. We
No, I don't want to hit that. Sorry.
formalize it this way: that we will uncover the mystery of the glowing obelisks. We must vow upon iron. Swear that you will see it through.
I swear it.
And now we will do our first roll of the game. So we're going to make the swear an iron vow move. When you swear upon iron to complete a quest, write your vow and give the quest a rank. We've already done that part. So we're going to roll plus heart. If you make this vow to a person or a community with whom you share a bond, add +1. Technically, we're swearing it to this community that we come from, which I believe I've been here long enough to share a bond with them. As part of this task is that some of the people in charge here are also wondering a lot, for the safety of the community, like what is going on with those obelisks, and so we're being sent out to figure it out. So even though it's to each other, it's also kind of to a community. So we need to make a plus heart roll. Now, as it turns out, we actually both have the same heart. We're both just filled with heart. We have the courage and conviction to see things through. That's like both of our strongest abilities. So it doesn't really matter who's doing this one. But let me make the first roll of the game and we'll see how it goes. So make a plus heart roll. That seems about right. Okay, first roll of the game is a full miss. So let me quickly explain why that is. In this game, what happens is you roll one 6-sided die and two 10-sided dice. As you see down below, action die was a 6, challenge dice 7 and 9. What you're doing here is you're comparing them. You're seeing how many dice are lower than the result on your action die. So I rolled a 3, and then plus my 3 heart is 6. Unfortunately, 6 is lower than 7. 6 is also lower than 9. So being that it is lower than both of those dice, this was a miss. If it had been higher than one but not the other, we would have had a weak hit. If it had been higher than both, we would have had a strong hit. Sadly, we got the worst possible result. So I'm going to look up what happens when we miss on swearing an iron vow. On a miss, you face a significant obstacle before you can begin your quest. Envision what stands in the way, ask the Oracle if unsure, and choose one. We either press on, suffering -2 momentum, and do what we must to overcome the obstacle, or give up and forsake our vow right from the beginning. I don't think that's going to be, given that this is the very start of the game, that this is the entire conceit of what we're going to be doing, I'm not thinking we're going to be like, you know what, nah. But before we even get to that point, I guess we need to figure out...
Before you begin.
Yeah, before we even begin, we need to figure out what is this thing that's standing in the way, what is keeping us from going on. I imagine... So you said that your Holmek, like he was the one who sent you out, right?
Mm-hmm.
Is there anyone else that you know that will potentially be very opposed to you? Because it's very untamed and dangerous out there. Can we think of somebody that, like... That was just my first thought of, like, what would be standing in the way. Like, there's somebody for one of us that, like, really doesn't want us to go out there. Either somebody we know personally or maybe somebody that we... I also imagine almost like the kind of like the old crone who's just like, no, you don't understand.
Aga doesn't want us to.
What's that?
Yeah, Aga senses, like, even though she's a bit senile, basically my foster mother,
right?
She senses me leaving and she's not happy about it. She does not want me to go.
Well, that can definitely work. I would definitely still turn down your sensitivity, by the way. I can still hear it coming back through. The mic sensitivity.
Oh, okay. I can turn it down a little bit more.
Yeah. Still there. So yeah, Aga could definitely come through and I imagine if this is an obstacle, like does it make sense for your version of her? Like she'd be literally like tugging your arm backwards, like physically preventing you from going, or what makes
Uh,
sense for her?
yeah, I imagine she would. Yeah.
Okay.
Because she's a bit crazy too.
Right.
But I think she knows things that I don't know. I mean, she's an herbalist but she's a very good herbalist, or was until she went a bit senile.
I'm seeing her with the full on, just like, somewhat rattier clothing and very just haggard sorts of wispy gray hair that go down pretty far.
Yeah, she's a bit disheveled.
Yeah. So yeah, Aga comes, and right as we're like, I imagine like before we can finish the vow, like she probably knows the power behind these things, and like I see her just like grabbing your wrist and pulling your hand away before like the vow can be completed, uh, like not allowing you to swear this vow. And like, no, Grae, you don't understand. You don't know what you're getting into. The seriousness of swearing upon iron, you're not ready.
I'm sorry, Aga. I must go. I can't explain it.
Why? Why must it be you?
I'm sorry. I can't tell her anymore, obviously. Because, yeah, Holmick does not want anyone knowing. So,
Yeah, do
but
you
I
wear
imagine she.
like are your hands covered, or is it just faint enough that it's hard to notice to begin with? Like how do you keep this from people?
Yeah, I definitely wear some gauntlets, I think. Because I don't. Yeah. Since I'm always practicing with swords and daggers anyway, yeah.
Gotcha. Um,
No one suspects anything because they're like, oh, there's that girl who's always
by the
who's
way, if it's okay with you, I as a kind of potential challenge moving forward, I envision that I think swearing an iron vow, I think the like magic behind it only works if it's indeed like the direct skin of your hand touching something. So like, I think it
oh
would be
so
interesting if like in the future when
yeah.
that comes up, you'll have to kind of decide like, oh, is it worth it? Like I gotta expose myself in this situation. If you're
Yeah.
cool
Do I
with
have to
that.
be around people when I'm
No, you can swear
swearing
it
the
to
vow?
yourself.
Okay.
I just figured that would be kind of interesting if you're always trying to keep your hands covered, but there'd be this situation regularly where you have to kind of make that decision.
Yeah, you're right. I definitely don't want anyone to know.
Okay. Um, so yeah, maybe there was even like that. Well, one way or another, she's pulled your hand away. She's given this argument and everything. So it sounds like you're trying to just like basically just convince her that you're ready, like sway her.
I think Aga did see my hands. Like I suspect there was a moment
Mhm.
where I think she saw something.
So maybe you were like peeling back what was like kind of taking off what was covering your hand just to fulfill this vow, and like a little bit of the glow was creeping out, something like that.
Yeah, I was careless a few times actually, I think. So she might have seen something.
Okay. So there's part of her that knows like, but maybe doesn't want to admit to herself like this could
Yeah.
mean that it has to be you, but like she doesn't want to accept it. So let's see how convincing you are.
Okay.
You say that you're ready. There's um I would so it sounds like you're making what is called a compel move. This is one of the relationship moves. It's when you attempt to persuade someone to do something. In this case, let you go, like, stop pulling you backwards, and accept that you're
Damn it, Aga.
yeah, just let me go.
Why?
Um, and you're not directly lying or swindling. You're not threatening or inciting. You're just doing the regular, just charm, pacify, barter, convince. Like you're just being nice, um, which is good. It uses heart, which is your best stat. Um, Now the only thing I asked right beforehand is, do you think that when we start the game we can have bonds with up to 3 people or communities? Um, is Aga one of your bonds, or are you not? Do you not consider her close enough? If she is, then you're
Yeah,
slightly better
she
on this
is.
roll. She is okay.
Mhm.
So one of your 3 bonds will be Aga, and that means you will get a +1 on this roll. So you got good odds. You're gonna be adding a total of +4 to this, and let's see if
Oh, I have a D20 generator actually.
I've got
Can
it
I
like
can I roll?
You can though. I've got it in a way that it captures on screen. Um,
Oh, I gotcha. Okay,
yeah,
never mind.
yeah. I've got it set up to just display on OBS.
Okay, that's better.
Let's see, just real quick, if you've got if any of your assets or anything to consider here. I don't think so. Yeah, you have a horse, you're an herbalist, and you're a wayfinder, but I don't think any of those are going to be directly helping you on this. Yeah, it doesn't look like it. But anyway, let's give you that +1, and so good news. You have about the same luck that I do in this game. The game is slanted mathematically towards being like you tend to get these like weak hits is like what should happen most of the time. In this case, we started off the game with 2 misses. Um, Unfortunately, despite all of your like positives on that die, you rolled as low as possible, and the challenge dice were about as high as possible. So we have
What
another
was it?
miss.
What did we need?
So again, it's not a direct one thing that you need. It's you need to be better than the challenge dice as they're rolled. So it's if you look at
Oh, I gotcha.
yeah, if you look at the stream, you can see kind of the way it works. Like the
Yeah,
total
I
of what
see
you
it.
rolled 5, but it's not higher than 8 and
105.
it's not higher than 10.
Damn it.
So yeah. Oh, it's still really echoing back for some reason.
It's probably only when I'm talking. So if I'm talking at the same time you're talking, you're gonna hear
Yeah, maybe.
yourself coming through. I'm sorry
Actually,
about that. I don't know how to fix it.
yeah, that's fine. Um, let's see. All right, where's the thing? All right, so on a miss, they refuse or make a demand which costs you greatly. Pay the price. Now, I was just imagining like if it's a refusal, like this thing where you're just like physically dragging her along the entire way. It's like, well, I guess you're coming with. But I think what would be more interesting in this case, because I that doesn't make a lot of sense to me. From the little we know about your character, I don't imagine you just like being like, well, I'm just going to impose myself, and you're going to be coming along. But we need to figure out like what would it take for her to accept? What kind of strange additional demands would she impose to be willing to do this? Now, what we can do is we can use an oracle, one of our random generators, to try and figure out get some inspiration on this.
Okay.
Like, I think the one that would probably help us out the most here would be I'm gonna roll for a character goal, find out a little bit more about like what she wants in this moment.
I feel like she would give me something,
Give you something?
or I would give her something. Yeah. Well, I imagine she gives me a bunch of different herbs. For
Yeah, I
the
mean,
journey.
you've definitely got in your. We all have an amount of supply, which is kind of our vague like we've got stuff. We don't really keep track of a lot of like exactly how much of any given thing we have. We just have how much supply do you have at a moment. So I certainly imagine she's giving you that, but we got to figure out like what is making this more complicated. What does she need in order to accept? And well, that wasn't all that helpful. The oracle was fulfill a duty. So let's see. What kind of? It sounds like there might be something that maybe she once went out into the world a little bit. There was something she was supposed to, or like has got additional family in another settlement or something. Like something that she needs done. Like maybe even as simple as like something like you said you imagine her giving you something. Like what if it's something that you need to
Maybe.
deliver?
Yeah, maybe she wants me to find an herb that she's heard of
Yeah, we could. That could be it
that
too.
she's always been really interested in having but never found. Like she's looked for it but never got a chance to
Yeah,
find it.
it could definitely be that sort of thing. It could even be the type of thing that like in order to rationalize why it makes the difference, I kind of see it as what if there's some kind of like folklore behind it being like almost like a 4-leaf clover type of thing where like you're supposed to have better fortune by carrying it, And so part of it is about bringing it back, and part of it is about keeping you safe.
Could be that. Could
Yeah.
be a remedy for her illness. You know,
Yeah.
her senile dysfunction.
Which I also imagine could be the type of thing where, like, part of why she's so scared about you going out there is some part of her may believe that you'd be more susceptible to getting this thing out there. Um,
Maybe.
like whether that's true or not, maybe she's afraid of that, and so this is the thing that like she wants you to have it to keep you safe. She doesn't want you to have the same sort of fate happen to you. So let's let's
Maybe.
let's roll with that. And oh, and by the way, chat. As usual, I am always good with any suggestions you have are encouraged, but not necessary. But I love taking suggestions. And
I like the idea of her insisting I find this one herb that'll protect me. Yeah,
yeah,
I like that.
so we'll go with that. And my my days of being able to stop you, we both know, are beyond me. But you must protect yourself. And she's like clasping your hand in both of hers. And these kind of like bony, thin skin. You can feel her what remains for bones. Um, let's see. We need a name for this herb. Um,
Hmm. Oh, is she giving? Oh, the one I'm looking for.
yeah. Let's see. What kind of
I don't know. What literally just came to mind was moth musk, but I
moth
don't.
musk? Hey, I mean that works. We'll figure out
Moth musk.
what exactly that means later, like what moth musk is and like why it has that name. But whether it's just like it kind of vaguely looks like a thing or smells like a thing, who knows? But um, you you can't go out there without moth musk. You promise me before you do anything, before you go to the stones, you'll pack yourself full of that moth musk.
I promise, Ada. I won't let you down.
And bring some back to me.
Okay, what
As
does it
long as you're
look
out there,
like?
I'll, I'll also bring me some.
But what does it look like? How will I recognize this moth musk? Is it a flower? Is it a plant? A root?
Let's see. She's
A mushroom?
she's your person. Do you think this is something she does know or doesn't like? Does she have the answer to that or not?
I feel like she would,
She would.
but
Okay.
only through like lore, I
Yeah.
think. Is
Like she's never encountered herself. That's part of why this is so important. But like,
or maybe she doesn't know for sure but speculates.
yeah. I imagine she'd give you some kind of like vague description.
You'll know it when you see it.
Like I like the
It'll
idea.
say moth musk.
I like the idea of it being like almost like something about it is kind of dangerous to acquire. Like whether it's because of where it tends to grow or something about it that just makes it harder to harvest, like almost in a like preparing blowfish kind of way where there's like if you do it wrong it can be like if you don't get it the right way it can be like
Oh,
poisonous.
yeah.
Like I like the idea
There's
of it being dangerous.
there are types of plants that actually when you go for them, they like react like
Exactly.
a spring or they'll pop seeds out or something. So
Yeah. So
or
maybe even if
maybe
she knows, like she's just so overcome right now with giving you warnings about how to harvest it, where she's like not even really answering your questions, where it's just like, and you must of course you cover your face you cannot let it blast its spores. Do not breathe them in, and like
uh
just going like a mile a minute with all sorts of warnings and stuff.
okay. What color is it?
And she's like going on without like
She's just not listening to me. I'm asking her questions. She's just going on and on.
yeah. Um, yeah, I think that it'll be the type of thing that if you
I'll have to ask around.
exactly like you'll have to gather that information from other places.
Okay.
She'll not have, she either doesn't have it or is just for whatever reason not being forthcoming enough with it in this
Yeah,
moment.
she might be having an episode.
Exactly. Now that she's all flustered from the fact that you're leaving, there's just less available there. Meanwhile, like
Yeah.
Flint is just kind of like almost tapping his foot. Like he be blind as he is, like he can see but only vaguely, so he really does need a guide.
Mhm.
Oh, and for what it's worth, let me show over. In terms of assets, you can see I've got a raven. So there's like a raven perched on his shoulder this whole time that seems to almost be mimicking the idea of like being impatient. Like every once in a while, it keeps doing like it's like ruffling its feathers thing, like making noise, almost to be like, "Come on, can we get going?" Like it's the bird wants to get on the road too. Um,
Caw, caw, caw.
it's not directly cawing yet, but it's just like and like keeps like looking over and like raising its eye open a little bit more. I imagine to a degree this raven is inspired by the goose from Untitled Goose Game. He's can be a little bit of a jerk, probably
That's
even to
awesome.
Flint. He's like a companion, but he's got a little bit of attitude. He's R2D2, not C3PO. Um, but okay, so we've got the kind of what you're gonna have to do in order to take this quest, which, as described before, is going to make our momentum worse. We're not abandoning the quest, but we've lost a little bit of momentum. It's kind of momentum is sort of the story pacing. The higher it gets, the more likely we are to do well at things in ways that I'll get into when it's relevant. But generally, you want a high momentum. Right now, our momentum is going to be brought down to 0, which is a shame, but is the case. So let me adjust that real quick. Take that, move it to there for both of us. This time around, I've got all these things working straight out of OBS as opposed to through Roll20. So it's working. I can have a little bit more different control over stuff. In ways that really won't matter to you at all, the viewer, but they matter to me. So when she finally kind of lets go of you a little bit and accepts, probably while like clutching herself a little bit, accepts that you're going to be hitting the road, Flint eventually says, "Shall we then?"
I look at him and nod.
All right.
I don't know if he can see me, but I nod.
Probably vaguely. I imagine he's gone from like 100% blindness to blind in the sense that like his driver's license would still say he's blind. Like he's not still does not have a lot of vision, but like can see. It's just all a lot harder. This is why his wits is one of his low stats. He's not going to be very observant because it's all quite the haze. But he can make out you nodding.
Okay.
Just the return vision is not great. So, the next move I suggest that we make in one of our quests or adventure moves, I believe is what it is, there is undertake a journey. Because I imagine that, we got to make our way towards the obelisks. That's
Oh yeah.
they're very far away. So when you travel across hazardous or unfamiliar lands, set the rank of your journey. Now, there's various levels of how long this could take. I don't see it like there's troublesome, dangerous, formidable, extreme, or epic. I see this probably on the level of like, I don't know, like either dangerous or formidable, like on the lower end. Like it's not that far away. It's not like we'd have to travel years and years to get to this point. But like, based on my experience with the game, I would suggest probably setting this at just dangerous. What it basically means is that we'll hit a number of kind of milestones along the way. different waypoints of like we have to stop here, we have to stop here. If we did it like full on epic journey, we'd wind up stopping at probably as many as like 30 or 40 places. Dangerous, we're probably gonna do more like 4 or like somewhere between 3 to 5 stops before we reach the stones. Is that
Okay.
more or less in line with what you were expecting? Like kind of like we have a
Yeah.
number of days to get there.
I wasn't really sure how far away it was.
Okay.
Um, for some reason, I feel like we could see it from where we lived,
Yeah. I think
but
it's very faint in the
it's
distance,
just
but
far
it's
away.
there. And
Mhm.
part of it is probably just they're probably really massive is part of why we see them, and then also of course they glow.
Yes.
So actually, no, I kind of like the idea of making it take a little bit longer before we get there. I'm gonna say let's make this a formidable journey. What that means is if you look on the sheet as I put this in, you can see that all the places where we have vows or anything that we write in there, they have a number of boxes. There's 10 of them, in fact. Every time we
Mhm.
reach a milestone on this journey, we're going to fill in one of those boxes completely. And we don't have to do all 10, but the more we fill in, the more likely we are to reach there successfully. Like, at any point, we can test our luck to just get there, like, skip the rest of the way through the story.
Mhm.
Generally, you want to have at least, like, I don't know, good 70% of them filled if you want any kind of good fortune. Um, so yeah, let me set this up right now. So we're gonna undertake a journey to go to the stones. Um, so let's
To the stones.
make a vow. It's or not a vow exactly, but it's gonna be in that third vow box. So journey to the glowing obelisk. There we go. And I'm going to set that to... One sec. Where's my little doohickey? There it is. Set that to be a formidable adventure. All right. Just for the sake of time, I'm gonna have that only on my sheet. Like we're both doing this same adventure, but rather than have to do everything twice and make that on your character sheet as well, I'm just gonna have it here. Just save
Okay.
us some time. But
That sounds
technically,
good.
we're both doing the same thing. So we're gonna undertake this journey. So, all right, we're setting off from a community with which we share a bond. Um, so we'll get a +1 on this. Because everybody's seeing us off completely, and when they're giving us the supplies, like we're not coming from just absolutely nowhere. We've got like roads. We've got a good reason to have some good stuff to follow. But unfortunately, what we're gonna have to roll now is plus wits. Now that is my worst stat. So because I can't see very well, I really need you to be guiding us along the way. Um,
Okay.
You thankfully have
What?
one higher of wits, so got a little bit better of a
Oh.
chance. Maybe we'll finally not miss when we do this. Let's see. So yeah, we're gonna set out along the road and see what happens here. So I'm gonna roll your wits with a plus. Well, I guess I have a bond with this community. Do you see yourself as having a bond with just the town in general, or really just
Um,
the family members?
yeah. I'm a bit of a social butterfly. Yeah, I like
Okay, you've
make
been here
myself
long enough to
known.
like this feels
And
like home.
yeah.
Okay, so then yeah, so we've got 2 of your bonds. All right, here we go. Let's see. Another miss. Hooray.
Dang it.
We just can't get anything done right. Like, welcome to playing Ironsworn with me. I have terribly cursed luck. This admittedly is worse than I've done before. Let me just make sure that everything mathed out correctly. Yeah. Yeah, it's using all the right stats. Okay, so we undertake a journey. On a miss, you are waylaid by a perilous event. Pay the price. So, something happens on the road. Now, the most classic for undertake a journey would be like, certainly if we were playing D&D. This is like when a random encounter happens, we get attacked on the road. Um, but we can use an oracle to figure out like what happened here. Um, so pay the price. Now we discussed earlier, like outside of this stream, when we were figuring out what the world would be like, that there's a reason why people don't go out into the Ironlands. Like it's very dangerous. There's a lot of just like wild beasts and stuff that are just, you don't go out there. And it would make most sense to me that indeed we have the classic, like something attacks us right away, just to really set the tone of what it's like when you get outside of town. I think that we've definitely like we've gotten a ways out. Like we're not like we can't see the gates anymore. We don't have help at our backs, but like we get just far enough to maybe the road gets a little bit less defined in a certain section. Like it got a little bit overgrown and got just a little bit lost. Kind of went a little bit too thick into the. Well, let's find out what kind of environment are we in. I'm gonna roll for a location description, and see like where do we find ourselves when this happens. It's barren. Okay, well there goes the overgrown part.
I hate barren.
We find ourselves in an area where like it just gets so desolate that like it's hard to even make out the road anymore, and just start kind of veering from it a little bit. Like maybe we got into sort of like more of like a rocky steppe sort of area, and there's just no sign of community around at all. And let me get a.
So we're a ways out already.
I think so. Yeah, like this was probably a couple of like I'd say probably like an hour into the road or something like that. Like enough time that we definitely can't just like turn back around and like go into town and be safe. Like we got a ways a little bit and maybe wandered off the path, and let's see. What type of thing might be attacking? It doesn't have to be a creature. It could also just be like raiders or something. Let's see. What if... Actually, yeah. Why don't we have it be something that comes from like something like that burrows, and so like it seems like it's so like because I'm imagining like with it being this barren, like how did we not see this thing coming? But if it comes from underground, then we could be totally like we could do a full on like dune worm thing where like it's just been sensing the vibration of our walking a little bit too regularly, and some kind of ground worm is suddenly just emerging from the ground and thinks that we're nice easy pickings.
That's right. There are foul beasts in our
lots of foul beasts, and so yeah, let's come up with a good name for these sorts of big burrowing, tunneling ground worms that probably have circular just teeth all around. They've got a what's it called? Screw it, doesn't matter. All right, I'm making the new vow for you because we're gonna have the fight take place on yours because I've got your sheet up already. So fight with a let's call him like a Titan worm or something.
Titan worm.
I don't know, just something that came to mind. A Titan worm. Now I don't.
Okay.
I'm gonna say these things are dangerous. They're definitely more than just troublesome. They're large enough they can definitely cause some pretty sizable damage, but nothing like this is some epic mythic beast that armies are slain to. Like we were
Are
having
they like
enough.
human sized or?
The way I'm imagining it, and obviously feel free to give your own contributions, but like I see it as probably in total like about the size of the two of us together in terms of length.
Oh gosh.
Yeah, I see it as being pretty damn big, and indeed like fast. Like it's good at just like going in and out of the earth quickly. Like it does those kind of like sniping sort of strikes and then goes right back into the earth. So it's quick, and that's part of what's so problematic about it.
I wonder if maybe I've never seen one, but maybe Flint has.
Quite possibly. Wrong thing. I didn't mean to move everything. I just wanted to move this. All right, not formidable, just dangerous. All right. So yeah, we're walking in the middle of nowhere, and maybe there's even that sense that there's that feeling in the air that something's wrong, and
Maybe
potentially
my
even
horse senses it
yeah, that's true because we've got your horse as well.
because he's closest to the ground. Well,
So
I
you
guess Flint's walking.
yeah are you walking alongside the horse? Are you riding atop it? Or are we? Would we
I
both
think
be
I'm
on top
walking
of it,
alongside.
or just
Yeah,
leaving
I
it?
still feel bad that Flint doesn't have anything to say. Out of respect, I think
Okay,
I'd be walking.
because we don't know each other well enough yet for us to be like, yeah, you just get on top with me and just hold on.
Yeah,
Like,
exactly.
okay,
Like, here's a seasoned veteran. I don't want him to judge me. I gotta respect my elders.
right. I've got my own just like uh probably some kind of walking stick or something, and then like I've got a hand on your horse as well as you like. I'm probably a little bit more in the back, just hand on its
Mhm.
like flank while you lead with the reins is the way I'm seeing it. Um, and so yeah, maybe the horse starts wickering a little bit. Um,
And
can
I
we get the
say,
horse a spiffy outfit or braid its mane? Only when we go to we need to go to one of the horse stables, and then we can officially go through the menu of different types of mane braiding. Sorry, what were you saying?
maybe. Sorry, I don't have a name for my horse.
That's true. We need your help. I don't have a name for my raven either, other than potentially
Mm.
Kennedy, given that he's going to be taken after my untitled goose.
Oh, that's right. Mm.
Um, so yeah, I think your horse starts wickering a little bit, and getting a little bit uncomfortable, doing that like it's you're having to like use more effort to get to move forward. It's resisting.
Slit haze. Horsey McHorse face.
Of course, it's perfect. Um, and so yeah, we're like, what is wrong? And like, uh, around that I think both animals start getting nervous. I think the raven like takes off into the air. Uh, like they both get this weird sense like this is wrong. But before we have any chance to really do anything about it, I think given that this all happened as a result of a miss, one of us one of us is getting attacked right now. Let's roll this. Let's determine this randomly. You said you have dice there, right? Um,
Yes.
so as far as I can tell, there are four of us that could potentially be attacked right now. There's me, there's you, there's the horse, and there's the raven. I think one of us or another is going to get immediately just like pounced by this worm. If you could randomly determine that
Oh, no. Okay. I got a 10.
out of what are you rolling?
Oh, I'm rolling a d20.
Okay, so let's see. I guess in the order I just said, it was me, you, raven, horse, I believe.
Hmm.
So let's see. That would be 1 to 5 me, 6 to 10 you. Hey, good luck. Um, So maybe it's because for a moment, like because of trying to deal with your horse, like trying to calm it down, you stop paying as much attention to the rest of the environment, and
Oh.
like, or at least you're more susceptible because you're distracted. Now you're not immediately going to get damaged, but
Hmm.
I think what's going to have to happen as we enter into this combat um, is I think there is a move called what's it called? Face danger. It's a very catch-all kind of thing that's just trying to react to an imminent threat or doing something risky. In this case, basically, try and not get hit by this worm as it comes up out of the ground and tries to slam into you. I see it as at first, like, it doesn't immediately try and devour. It needs to, like, weaken its prey first by just, like, slamming into it enough and tiring it so that it can't move around as much, so it can, like, wrap around you and eventually try and take you down into the underground. Your bard will write a haiku.
Thanks, lady.
So you could try and do this in a number of different ways. There's the most obvious one to me would be just trying to dodge out of the way. You could also just try and be stout and just take it, which would be more of an iron kind of move, which I know is not your thing.
No, I have not mastered my sword yet.
Yeah, so do you see this as, like, you would just be, like, just trying to dodge really quickly, or, like...
Yeah.
Okay.
Especially if I'm distracted with the horse kind of, like, reeling about, I would...
Yeah.
See this thing out of the corner of my eye and just be like, oh, shit.
Yeah, there's that split second where you have that chance that just entirely reflexes your way out. So what I want you to do, or I guess what I want me to do on your behalf, because I've got the roller over here, we're going to have you roll plus edge. So again, as we see on your sheet, your edge is 2. So we're going to be rolling a d6 plus 2 and see how that compares to both of these 10-sided dice I'm about to roll. And let's see. Come on for our first not miss. We can do it. We can't, though. How about our another miss in a row? Because we keep just rolling, like, the challenge dice, we keep rolling really high is the problem. We're not rolling wonderfully on the action die, but it's really more just the challenge dice. They keep going really high. So we're going to be starting off just... It's going to be a rags to riches story. We'll eventually... And I think I said the same thing about my last character, and he wound up dead horribly. But it's going to be a rags to riches story. We'll get there eventually. We just got to come out from... Right now, everything's looking too nice for us. We've got all of our supplies. We've got all of our health. The game doesn't like that. Okay, on a miss, you fail, or your progress is undermined by a dramatic and costly turn of events. I think this one it's kind of the most obvious thing. Like, maybe you partially get out of the way, but it still manages to slam into you just a little bit. Sounds like we are in full-fledged combat of, let's see, where's the thing? I think the pay the price move that's going to be happening right now, I think you need to endure harm. Like, the worm manages to hit you a little bit, maybe knock you on your butt, like, because it's trying to take your legs out from under you so you're in a more vulnerable position. So, knocks you down. So you're going to suffer minus health equal to your foe's rank. So, unfortunately, that means your health is about to go down by 2 from 5 that it's at.
No.
If your health is 0, suffer minus momentum equal to any minus health. It's not 0. So then what we're going to need you to do is roll either your health or your iron, whichever is higher. All right. First, let me just adjust your sheet. Okay. Sorry to get you started off in this game with this way, like, and it's like everything fails and nobody likes you, okay. and everything goes wrong, and you lead us astray, and then the worm hits us, and just. I
went into this totally not prepared.
I can tell you though that none of this is your fault as a player. It's all just the dice not really loving us right now.
Yeah, and I'm just.
But
for my character, I think my character is just mentally not quite prepared for something happening so soon.
Well, like, and what's kind of good about this is that it makes it all the more, like, real, the warning that we got right before going there of, like, don't go out there. You're not ready for this.
Yeah, and Aga was right.
Aga had... There's a reason she was warning. She knew what the dice were going to do. Okay, so your health is still at +3. So I'm going to roll that and see. This is basically determining, like, how well do you take that hit. Now, it could turn out that you take it rather well. and you might actually get some of that health back. We'll see.
Okay.
I'm gonna roll your heart because that's equal to your health right now. But we should probably be used to exactly what kind of result you got, because we have.
Damn challenges.
Let's see, what do we have? 5 misses in a row? Yes, 5 direct misses in a
What
row.
the hell is going on?
And that is even including ones where we're doing our best stat with a +1. So it's gone very poorly. So we have a miss.
Damn it.
So here's what happens. Yeah, exactly. We need like an emote for Ironsworn luck at this point. Yeah. Even the math is against us right now. Because again, that was her using her best stat. Or the equivalent of her best stat. Okay, so on a weak hit, you press on, but we suffer -1 momentum. The important thing, you're not wounded yet. Because you came into that fully healthy. So unfortunately, your momentum is going to go down by 1. Damn it, wrong thing. Whoopsie. I want this. Bring that down by 1. I actually can't offhand remember exactly what it means when you have negative momentum. I need to look that up really quick. I know it's a thing, but okay. When your momentum is less than 0 and it matches the value of your... Oh, that's right. Okay. So, from now on, I'll keep that in mind. There's a chance that you're even less likely to succeed while the momentum is low. So, we're sniped by this worm. Got to do something to take care of it. Flint is going to take this moment to try and turn this around and get into action here. So he hears and can definitely see you get taken to the ground. And don't worry, we're going to catch a break. This is going to happen. It's going to happen. I'm going to finally try and just enter the fray. Like it's taken you, and you're in this sort of tussle with this worm that's trying to go back into the ground. But before it gets there, I want to try and basically like dive down on it and try and just like start tussling with this worm, like try and grab it. Because as you can see, one of my fighting style, per my assets over there, is actually Brawler. With my lack of sight and everything, I don't really do much in the way of weapons. I get in the mix and like I don't need to see you if I can hold on to you. Was my fighting style when I didn't have any vision. If I'm wrestling with you, I know where you are. So when I am unarmed or fighting with a non-deadly weapon, let's see. What I've got right now is when you secure an advantage with +iron by engaging in close quarters brawling, such as hitting, and I score a hit, I can inflict another harm. Okay, I'll keep that in mind. It's not what I'm using right now, but all right. So we're gonna officially be in combat now by using my enter the fray move. We need to determine who's in control, basically. I am going to be... I guess technically we did this a little bit out of order, but...
Oh,
it is my doing. Technically, we already entered the fray when it attacked you. I'm just gonna... It happened, basically. Our foe has initiative. We need to take back initiative from it. So in this game, the way it works is like... It's not initiative in the sense of like Dungeons & Dragons, where it's like, okay, this person goes, then you go, then I go. It's not like that. We are always the only ones making moves. In this game, there aren't like NPCs that make moves. They don't attack. It's kind of we're always the ones doing things, and then it's just whether or not narratively we're kind of back on our heels, or if we're really the ones in control. That's what initiative means in this sense. So right now, the worm is in control. It's got us back on our heels. We need to get that control back, because the best way that you can harm something is when you're the one kind of on the aggressive side. We need to get that back. The way we do that is by getting a strong hit
Okay.
on anything. Any kind of roll that if we get just like the best result, we'll get our initiative back and we'll be in a better position to be able to just like hurt it. As long as it's got initiative, we're a little bit more limited in the types of stuff we can do. So there is a move, however, that is called Clash, which I think is kind of what I'm gonna use my brawler thing and just try and we need as much help as we can get right now. I got to use my assets. I'm going to try and secure an advantage by brawling with it. The advantage I'm going to try and secure here is just that I'm trying to dive on this worm and hold it, basically keep it from being able to burrow back in the ground like it wants to do. As we mentioned, like maybe I've got some experience with these. I know its tactics. And
that's what I'm thinking.
Yeah.
You must know more about these than I do.
So like I'm trying to make sure it can't burrow back in the ground, because if it keeps doing that, it's going to be able to really have us on our like backing up constantly. And we're going to be surprised by it. So I dive down, and I'm trying to just brute strength hold it back from being able to get back underground. So I would definitely say that this is trying to gain leverage through aggressive action, forceful defense, strength, or endurance. So I'm going to be rolling my iron on this. But because of my brawler talent, I'm going to be able to potentially also hurt it in the process. So if I get any kind of hit, strong or weak hit, I'll be like squeezing it enough to like kind of actually hurt the worm. Two words, worm saddle. Yes, I may not have a horse to ride, but if I can tame this foul beast someday, you'll be riding on your horse, I'll be riding on my worm.
Yay, you won't have to walk anymore.
Right? Okay, so let me roll my iron and hope that this starts going just a little bit better. I just need any kind of hit. Nope. That's a miss. Of course it is.
What is going on?
That is 6 misses in a row.
It seems like that's going to happen a lot if the challenge has 2 rolls.
Well, we're trying to beat each one individually. Like it's not like we're trying to beat a 14.
So you
we're
could
trying
beat one of them.
Yeah.
And it's still
I actually came close to getting it with that 5 there. You just have to get higher than even one of them. And mathematically, usually that's what happens. We're just getting the raw end of this bell curve.
Yeah, we're getting screwed.
Yeah, usually you'll beat one but not the other. And the game is kind of balanced around that idea that that's often what's going to happen. We're not getting that. So I do not manage to hold... This may be the shortest campaign ever. Now, keep in mind, if it really goes south, we can try and like run away. Of course, if we keep getting misses, then we won't succeed at that either. So what we really need to do is try and start hurting ourselves, because we'll miss at doing that, and then we'll... Yeah. Okay, so I fail or my assumptions betray me, pay the price. I think what happens here is like, in order to dive on the ground really quickly to try and grab it, especially not being able to see very well, I think I slam into the ground, like I miss. It's a little bit too fast, and I like knock the wind out of myself, just and, like hit the ground hard trying to grab it, and it hurts me. It probably even manages to like smack me a little bit while I'm there. So I think I'm also gonna endure the same kind of harm. Every week will be a new Ironsworn campaign. Yeah, maybe.
Flint, you're not as sprightly as you used to.
Apparently not. Yeah, it's been a while since I've been out here. I believed in myself a little bit too hard. So yeah, let me move my health down. As it manages to smack me just as hard while I'm right next to it. I kind of bring myself vulnerable to it. And I think what happens next is indeed like I miss my opportunity and it burrows into the ground. Let me see how well I take this hit, because I similarly need to roll my health, and maybe I'll get one back. We'll see. Let's see. Nope. A 7th miss in a row. It came so close.
This is horrible.
I know. I'm giving you like the worst impression of this game. I swear it doesn't always actually go this badly, but
Rigged.
It
Rig's not
is
in our favor.
clearly like much as I like being able to have the results on screen, we should have been going with your dice, I guess.
Yeah, I'll roll my dice.
All right, so I do not
Just
take
let
the
me
hit
know.
well, and that is a. Oh, I'm trying to find the thing. God damn, it's never gone. Even Coyote Devereaux didn't have it this. He sometimes succeeded. It just always got worse and worse over time. If everyone dies just as they leave town, who will continue? It's a good question. Okay, so I suffer the -1 momentum, and yeah, okay, so we're basically in the same position here. Well, if
Maybe.
so, so you see this happen. The worm, like I try and dive down on the worm. I clearly take it hard. It smacks me around, and I kind of like roll on my back as a result of it. And then it manages to burrow back under the ground. What do you envision yourself doing in this moment? Like as you're kind of, it had knocked you to the ground. You're kind of on your butt. There's kind of like a, what's your impulse here? Is it about like, are you trying to get yourself to a better point of safety, or are you trying to like wait for it to be able to somehow attack it? Like, what would be your inclination in this moment?
I feel like I would run to Flint and like try to help him because, yeah, just no experience, and I would I just call out Flint and then I run to him
Okay.
to try to help.
So in terms of what move that kind of sounds most like to me, I think you're actually you might be trying to
Okay.
secure an advantage as well. In this case, the advantage is just trying to get me back up on my feet so that like
Yeah,
we're ready to reface combat.
yeah, because I want you to kill this thing because
Right.
I've never encountered this thing.
So yeah, you're in this case, I think that the securing an advantage, I think there's an argument to be made that you're actually using heart here because if you try and make preparations or gain leverage with charm, loyalty, or courage, which in this case, I mean, this is a new situation, it's really scary, and your first thought was to try and get me back up on my feet. That kind of sounds like loyalty to me.
Yeah.
That you're trying to help out your companion. So I definitely think there's an argument to be made that you are trying to secure an advantage with your best stat.
I agree with that.
I do too. I do agree with myself. By the way, our session today is going to be a little bit on the short. We're actually going to be wrapping this up in about 15 minutes, so we're probably going to have just enough time to do just this combat.
Sorry about that.
It's okay, but we're going to get to see the end of this combat one way or another. Is I think about what we'll have time for. Hopefully, it'll go the right way. We'll just be kind of worse for the wear. All right. Let me roll your heart and see if you can indeed get me on my feet and finally turn us around, because this could be the moment where you seize initiative for us.
Fromage.
Let's see.
The sweat is real.
There we go. Okay. Not only do you get a strong hit, but in this game, when you roll doubles, it
Finally.
actually is like a critical. So as you see, you rolled 2 3s down there. You got an opportunity. So we went from a miss to the best possible result. Better than a strong hit. Not only do you seize initiative for us, but something even better than usual, like something unexpected, like a critical happens. And I feel like since it was you doing it, like, what if this is a moment where, like, what if your hands start doing something, like, in this kind of moment of panic? Like, what if that comes out and, like, the magic or the whatever's going on with your hands, like, flares up in a way? And, like, we learn something about it.
Maybe.
Because, like,
Maybe it lunges towards us right as I'm trying to help him.
Like, what if, like, what kind of, obviously you came up with the idea of these hands, and I know you wanted to be some kind of, like, long-term, figuring out some kind of magic behind them. I think this opportunity could definitely be, not only do you manage to pull me up and we're ready for it, but, like, maybe we reach the first of the milestones of your hands. Like, there's something in this moment that gives you a little bit of a hint of, like, there's, these things react to danger. And, like, maybe you can't completely control it yet, but, like, there's some kind of a power in them that I think might even, like, give you back a point of your health or something. Like, there's, I see it like the Avatar state, sort of. Like, there's,
Yeah.
you're in danger, and it's making you more powerful. Now again, like this is a long-term goal for you, so I don't want it to be like too concrete exactly what happens. I don't want to give you I don't think we should come up with like very direct answers, but like
Yeah.
this should be a moment where we get our first hint about like, oh, we learned something about your hands here.
Maybe they
So,
just glow brighter. Yeah.
yeah,
Glow a little bit brighter.
let's see. I think that we should give you your first milestone on discovering the meaning behind your glowing hands. Now, because this is an extreme
Okay.
milestone, it's just the tiny bit of it. Um, I believe it is. Hold on. Trying to remember how many. Yeah, okay, you get 2 ticks on this. So it's basically you fill in half of the first box on it. So a long, long way to go, but you've gotten started, and it's one of your very long term vows. All right, 1 second. Let me give you that. So there you go. 2 ticks on that box. In theory, it can turn into a full asterisk. So
Okay.
first little hint of like there's something to do with these hands. Now I had thought in terms of like being nice and what would be handy here, I was suggesting that like it healing you a little bit. Do you have other ideas on like what would you like these hands like? What do they do in this moment that's like beyond the glow? That's especially helpful. What type of thing would you like to see them do?
Hmm.
Since it is your thing.
I feel like maybe they flash brightly, like a blinding kind of
Oh, so like maybe
light.
when it comes back out of the ground, you can like daze it in a way.
Yeah, and since these things like the dark, maybe that's
Yeah, it's true. It may be like really not accustomed to that bright a light if it tunnels all the time. Yeah, I like that. So
okay.
yeah, it like comes up out of the ground and like in a almost like just natural, don't even instinctual protection, manages to like
Here, I can pull my hand up.
flash and daze this worm in a way that opens up this opportunity. Um, so beyond that, we need to actually just give what you get for getting a strong hit on the secure an advantage roll. So you got a strong hit, so we can either take control, make another move now, and add +1, or prepare to act, take +2 momentum. No matter what, we have initiative back. I personally would suggest, I think in this case, honestly, go for the, like, we'll make another move now, but have an additional +1 on it. Because I think you've got me on my feet, and you've got it dazed, ready for me to indeed, like, try and wrestle it a little bit better. Um, I should be able to do some amount of real harm to this thing, and yeah, maybe get us started on this. Um, so I'm going to make the move just strike. It is your most classic, just sort of like we have initiative, we're in close quarters. It's your most likely to cause damage thing. Um,
Okay.
if you don't mind, I will take the +1 that you just earned us. Um,
I don't mind.
yeah. So I'm going to use my iron. I'm going to have that +1. And sadly, I believe my brawler move is specific to securing an advantage. Let me see about that. Yes. Okay. So I can't get that, but I very well might cause some damage right now. Get started on this goddamn worm. It's not going to be, admittedly, it's not going to be a lot of damage because I'm not using a deadly weapon. I'm just like grappling it. But it'll at least be a start. I believe it'll tick 2 of the boxes on it. So here we go. Always use deadly weapons. Yeah, I'm gonna need to get some. I didn't start off with them, but maybe when next time we reach a town or something, we might want to get ourselves a little bit better armed. Now we're seeing like, yeah, the road gets dangerous right away. Okay, let's see. Can we roll in and continue this? You've turned our streak around. Can I continue that, or is my luck just gonna take over? Okay, we're continuing a new streak. Strong hit again. which is good. Not only does that mean that I've indeed caused harm, but I believe it'll be an additional harm as well. Let's see. On a strong hit with strike, inflict +1 harm. So ordinarily I'd inflict 1. I'm gonna inflict 2 instead, and we retain initiative.
My alarm's going off. Hold on.
Okay, no problem. So in this case, that means I'm going to fill in 4 whole boxes on this thing. Let me switch over to her side where she has it. Give me a moment here. I'm just going to mark the most recent one just to save some time. We are up through this. We filled in all the boxes up until that point. Now, with your alarm going off, we should probably indeed... We might have to cut this off in the middle of things, so we have a little time to wrap up.
Yeah, we still have 10 minutes.
We do, but... or here, let's let you do one more thing to kind of... This will be our kind of last moment before we kind of have to cut off this episode in the middle of the fight. So you got this moment. I'm on the ground. I'm managing. I'm like kind of twisting the worm into kind of like in 2 different directions, which is harming it. It's starting to like really wrench its flesh a little bit. It's thrashing around, trying to like bat around with its tail, but it can't hit anything because we still have initiative. You have a moment to either like you can try to attack it directly. I know you have a combat horse.
Oh yeah.
Granted, you don't have to use it. You could also... You got any number of opportunities here, but importantly, we are in our best position to actually cause damage to this worm at the moment, which is our only way to really like get to a point where we can get out of this combat in a nice way. Now, granted, you could still set up more kind of just like manipulating the situation. You could try and keep using your hands in a way. All sorts of options.
I feel like the horse would instinctually try to trample.
Okay. Yeah, you could maybe even like give it some light direction. It's a pretty big war horse. Yeah.
So.
Yeah. You are. It is a mighty horse. Now, technically, I'm reading your asset now. It says when you strike or clash at close range while mounted, you'll get to add +1 and harm it even more on a hit. So you might, in order to get the best benefit out of it, you'll have to actually like be mounted on the horse. But it's not like that costs you anything. Like this is all far more narrative and like it's not like D&D where like how many you don't have enough actions to do that. It's just it's more cinematic.
We do have weapons, right? So like maybe.
You have what you took with like you can have weapons anyway. If you see yourself having one, what would you see yourself using?
I would definitely have a sword.
Okay. You could certainly use that too.
Okay. Yeah, I'm just gonna attack it.
Okay.
I'm gonna try and stab it.
Yeah, I'm kind of holding it a little bit more steady for you. Now,
okay.
The only thing that I'll point out here is that in terms of just what your character is good at, this would be an iron move, which is one of the things that you're most likely to fail at. This is what I'm saying. And while in certain other situations, if we had high momentum, we could kind of like counteract that a little bit. I can say that the math is very likely to make this fail, unfortunately. Just because it's not one of your strong points, quite literally. But indeed, if you wanted to use your horse, that would actually probably work pretty well because it would at that point your horse would be just kind of making.
Okay.
Actually, well, it would counteract it a little bit. It would give you the +1 to make your iron less of. It would be more average.
Okay. So I'll mount my horse and then I feel like I would have a dagger too. I don't know. But yeah. I'll just charge it.
Okay.
Can I throw a dagger at it while charging
Yeah,
it?
that would actually be using edge, which you're a little bit better at.
Okay,
Yeah.
so let me chuck a dagger at it while charging at it.
Okay. Sounds good.
Um,
That you'll definitely be able to do a little bit better. I don't want to. I don't intend to like dictate what you should or shouldn't do so much. Just I just want to make sure you like in
no,
terms of like the
you're
system, like what'll like getting familiar
yeah,
with what'll work well.
I didn't really yeah, you were helping me realize what
Exactly.
my
That's my only
assets
intent there.
were.
Over time, I'll do that less, but certainly for this first
Okay.
session. Um,
Yeah,
but
thanks for
yeah,
helping.
but yeah, your edge, you'll be better at that. So yeah, you kind of take this opportunity while it's being held. You're more used to doing stuff on horseback where you're comfortable. And this way, if it does manage to move around, you'll have that higher mobility, so that um, you'll be able to have that swiftness. It'll be harder for you to be attacked.
Yeah.
So you take this opportunity and you're riding towards it. Fling this knife or dagger, and let's see how that works. So you're getting a +1 because you're doing this from atop your horse. So you have an edge move with a +1. This will be our last roll before we wrap things up because I know you got to go.
Yeah.
But let's see. Depending on how this goes, this could actually get things. This could this could end it. Here we go. However,
No.
why would this do anything else? We had our little bit of a taste of what it's like when things go well,
Yeah.
but it's not that simple. So we think
Haunting.
it seems like maybe it would be able to happen, but on this strike
So-
move, a miss. Your attack fails and you must pay the price. The enemy has initiative.
How?
Well,
How did I miss?
well, yeah, it's on horseback. It's a little bit harder to have that direct aim. So I think the last thing we need to do is figure out what is the price that gets paid. Now, if I'm being especially cruel here, which I always have the intention to be,
No.
we are throwing a dagger where I'm in the middle of wrestling this thing. I can definitely see an outcome here where I get cut by this dagger.
No, Flint.
I it seems to make the most sense for me in this moment that in some kind like I don't think it was even your fault so much as like it was on target, but then the tussle kind of like it moved and I probably rolled in the way. Like if everything had stayed the way it was, I think you would have hit. However, I think this will hit me instead.
Darn.
I will pay the price on this one, and as I cry out in this pain, I think we will cut in media res and take that up next time. Let me just adjust my health so I don't forget.
Okay.
And thankfully, it was only you hurting me, so it won't be quite as painful as the worm. But I will adjust that downwards. It'll give us something to try and take care of when this is all done. The worm kind of I think the last thing we see is like it manages when I get hit. The shock of it, I let go of my grip, and cry, and the worm like rears up, and is like getting ready to like slam back down, and then we cut to black, and we'll see what happens next time.
Such suspense.
Yes, who knows what's going to happen?
But it
Probably
keeps-
us dying, but
But it keeps them coming back for more.
I guess so. So yeah, we do have to wrap things up a little bit early this week, but we're going to be doing this from now on, actually starting at 1:30 as opposed to 2. We're shifting the schedule a little bit, so
Sorry.
we'll be back to continue more of the story 1:30 p.m. Pacific time next Tuesday. I'm Midnight
4:30.
Jester 8 or Jay. I always stream
Oh.
on this channel. This is Blinkin' Firefly. You can catch her over on twitch.tv/BlinkinFirefly. Tell us a little bit about what they can see over there, real quick.
Oh yeah, if you want to check out my stream, be sure to expect lullabies, ukulele, and singing.
Yeah. We're both music streamers, so I've got a regular Sunday cello request show, 5 to 9 p.m. Pacific time, and then of course this on Tuesdays now, and some gaming here and there. if you didn't catch the whole thing and you want to find out a little bit more about all of it, if you ever miss an episode, these are all, as soon as possible, going to get exported and put up on YouTube. So I'll need a little bit of time, but they will all wind up there. You'll be able to follow the entire campaign. Though, of course, I always hope to see you here instead. But I hope you've had a good time for this first little introduction into Ironsworn. I hope that you're not too depressed with all of the just constant miserable failure.
I had a good time.
It gives us something to have to fight through,
enjoying it so
though.
far.
And but anyway,
That was fun.
yeah, we will continue this and find out how we get out of this jam and how we make up for it and what we do next Tuesday. So 1:30 p.m. Pacific time right here on twitch.tv/midnightjester8. See ya, everybody.